Raise your hand if you tried to play your pieces faster than you were able to. We've all been there, and saying that it's tempting is a bit of an understatement. We've all got this very natural tendency to make our music sound as close as possible to what we can already hear in our head, just as we do when we hum or whistle a well-known song. Unfortunately, this is not the best way when you've got an instrument like harp, where you have to coordinate 8 fingers on your 2 hands, often doing some very different things. So, how can we make sure that we take the time that we need to show our fingers what to do, so that we can later enjoy the pieces sounding the way we want them to sound? I am Zuzanna, I am a harpist and a harp teacher, and in today's episode I will share with you my tips for what to do when your fingers are struggling to match what you know a piece should sound like. If you rush to play your piece up to speed before you're ready, mistakes are likely to happen. And when they do, most of us then get a little nervous, or at least uneasy. The pulse gets a little bit agitated, your breathing gets a little bit quicker, and when you try to play the same section again, you end up going a little bit faster, sometimes without even realizing. Sadly, this usually means more mistakes, and if you put yourself through this again and again, you'll likely end up getting used to these mistakes, and you won't be able to play without making them anymore. Step number 1 to prevent this from happening is to be aware of this natural tendency to try to catch up with the melody that you hear in your head. So don't beat yourself up, just notice when you're doing it. Then remember to breathe. Maybe try to notice what happens with your breathing before you try again. If you've been at it for a while, go away from the harp, take some fresh air, and come back again when you feel more calm. And while we're talking about time away from the harp, there is one other thing that you must stop doing if you want to avoid rushing your pieces. Stop listening to them. If you listen again and again to somebody else playing the piece you work on, their tempo will get stuck in your head. And when you try to play it yourself, you will unconsciously keep comparing what you play to that recording. And even without realizing, you will keep trying to do every possible thing to close the gap between the two. And you will try to keep playing faster than you should. Now, if you feel like you need to go and listen to your piece this one final time, here's a hint. Try to slow that recording down. If you're listening on YouTube and you're on your phone, tap the screen and in the top right corner you will find 3 dots where you'll find playback speed. Tap there and choose speed that works for you. 0.5 means playing twice as slow, so half the original speed, and 0.25 is 4 times slower. On a desktop, this is in the right bottom corner. Click the gear icon and that's where you will find playback speed and also captions. By the way, if you ever catch me talking too fast, you can use this YouTube function too to slow the video down or turn on the captions. The one thing that will give you the freedom to play your pieces at any speed you want is making sure that you understand the rhythm. When you're working on a new piece and the rhythm in the score looks tricky, it can be especially tempting to play it the way you remember it should sound like. But when you take your time to work out those rhythms by yourself, you get to feel it with your inner pulse, and then you have the freedom to make the piece really yours. It's a really wonderful feeling when the notes and everything else fall into place and you can connect back to that memory of the piece, but now with a deeper understanding of all these ingredients that's coming from within. If you want to learn more about rhythm, in the description of this video I'll link to some other resources that will help you find your way around it. There are a lot of things you can do away from the harp, like marking your score, clapping or tapping the rhythm, and they will all help you make sure you can understand the rhythm without having to rely on a recording, but instead that you feel the rhythm using your own inner pulse. What will help you even more with both understanding the rhythm and making sure that you can slow things down whenever you need to is counting out loud. And yes, you heard me right. It needs to be out loud. Counting in your head is not the same. Counting out loud is a great way to make sure that you understand the rhythm in your piece and to keep in check any potentially tricky spots. If you're not sure where to get started when it comes to counting out loud, check out one of my earlier episodes where I show you how to work with your score so you do get to understand the rhythm better. I'll put the link for you up here and in the description of this episode. One important thing when it comes to counting out loud is to avoid a situation when you play your piece in the exact same way and you try to make the counting to fit in with the music. You want your counting to be that steady pulse that you use as a support in your playing. And of course, if that's something that's quite new to you, it may take some time for you to get used to that, and while you're working out which notes fit in with the sounds, it may be a little bit hesitant. But if you stick to that, you will eventually be able to steady your counting and find that flexibility in your playing that allows you to follow. Even if at first it can feel like a lot to do at the same time, hearing your voice coming together with the notes that you play really does work wonders. Even professional musicians with years of experience keep using it in their practice, so if you haven't tried it yet, or if you've been only counting in your head up until now, make sure you give it a go. It will really help. When you're familiar with the way your piece sounds, but are learning to play it on the harp for the first time, the best thing to do is to forget all you know about it and pretend that this is something you've never heard before and that you need to work out everything right from the start. One way that will help you with this is picking different sections of a piece as your starting points and to avoid starting your practice from the very beginning. If you know the tricky spots, aim to start from there. Another good idea along this line is starting at the end and going back, adding one bar at a time. When you do this, it's important that as you add more notes, you keep checking whether the tempo still works for you, no matter how slow it was when you started. Every time you add something new means a new challenge for your fingers, so make sure they've got enough time to learn. Working from the end works so well because it will most likely take you a while before you arrive at any bits of the melody that you can recognize. So the chances that you will try to catch up with that melody are rather low. However, if you notice that temptation to go faster once you spot a familiar melody, I've got one final tip for you. If your harp has levers or pedals, you can use them to help you avoid getting carried away by familiar melodies. All you need to do is change a few pedals or levers so they don't match the original settings anymore. The more random your setup, the better. But basically, you want to make sure that what you play sounds different to what you're used to hearing. If there are any pedal or lever changes, you can simply ignore them while you practice this way. This will be challenging enough. If you want to hear how this kind of practice sounds like, do check out my tutorial for Happy Birthday, where you'll hear what this tune can sound like with a random lever setup. This practice strategy can be quite challenging, because when you can't rely on your hearing anymore, you need to be really sure that the strings that you pluck are really the right ones. This is a really great way to really get to know your pieces inside out, and it's also really good fun hearing your pieces sounding so completely different. If you've got any neighbors, they might appreciate it too. I don't know any other instrument where that is possible, so if you haven't tried it yet, definitely give it a go. Now let me know in the comments, have you noticed this happening to you, that temptation of trying to catch up with the pieces that you know so well? And if so, which of these tips are you going to try first? Let me know how it goes, and be sure to subscribe Coffee Break Harp so you get notified about new episodes. I'll see you here very soon. Take care for now. Bye!